I slept surprisingly soundly last night despite our unsecured building and a possibly infected house guest. I listened to the radio in the shower. The government has just upped and disappeared with no one having any idea where they had gone. London is lost along with Liverpool, Manchester, Birmingham, Newcastle, Cardiff, and just about any other major population area you can imagine. But apparently areas are holding it. Hastings are in the process of organising a wall to be built. Being on the coast, they will only have to do half the job we would. Canterbury was also holding out. The ancient walls around it had more or less channeled the dead in one direction for them, stopping them from being surrounded. Nothing has been heard from Ireland or the rest of the world. I left the peace of the shower to grim reality. Another busy day surviving. At least we would be relatively safe when we had made our cosmetic changes to the building. I thought about the Territorial Army base up the road a few miles away near the last stand. Last I saw, the fence surrounding it was intact. Maybe there were soldiers waiting to take back the town, and I dismissed the thought almost immediately. I would only have used it as an excuse to go back to bed. After a few pieces of dry toast, we forgot to get butter on our trip. Not much was said over breakfast. We were all too aware of what might have to be done soon, with Jane still handcuffed to the radiator a couple of rooms down. John took the lead. Right, let's get started. We have stairs to smash. He was right. We sit here filled with melancholy, then we were dead. We would need to destroy 2 sets of stairs to make sure the things could not get up to the living area. In between was a small landing for the first floor. We elected to keep that to make passing supplies up easier. To get up to the landing, we would have to do a delicate balancing act on the post boxes. To get up the last part, we would use a large cupboard we found in my room laid across the gap, easy to push away if the creatures got up to the landing, but solid enough to hold our weight. But first we would have to clear the ground and first floor flats. Toby and the girls were fairly sure everyone had left, but we didn't want to bump into one just because we hadn't been careful. Plus it would be a good opportunity to scavenge supplies from the other rooms. We would start on the first floor and then the ground then destroys the staircase. What a fun day. Me and Toby both grabbed bats. John would take the rifle, being the only one of us to have fired a gun before. He shot a heron once, but it would be a last resort only. We didn't want the extra noise to attract them. Lara unlocks the door on the landing and we went in. There was an odd smell, the smell you always get in buildings like this, and you wonder what the hell they're cooking in there. Toby dragged the sledgehammer behind him. I could tell he was excited to smash something. But hopefully he wouldn't get the chance till the stairs. Maybe. I had been reading the how-to book too much, but I had been looking at the article on picking locks with a paperclip. I had tried last night while on watch and got mixed results. I straightened out the paperclip and approached the closest door and knelt down. 2 packs of fags says you can't do it. Toby said gleefully. You're on. I spoke. I knocked on the door. Hello, Ghostbusters. I yelled. John gave me a weird look. Like it matters what I say. I replied. After 10 seconds, no reply. I inserted the pick and John and Toby got ready. I gave up after 20 minutes and pulled out a hammer and screwdriver. I inserted the screwdriver and smashed the other end with the hammer, taking out the frustration that I had just lost 2 packs of cigs. The lock broke, the door opened, and I rolled to the left. Nothing. I went in first, keeping the cricket bat in front of me. It was dim in the room, all the curtains and doors were closed. We cleared it empty of dead or alive occupants. We cleared all 5 rooms on the first floor. It took a couple of hours and was about midday. Lara and Jenna would now move in and scrape the place clean for things we could use. We stopped for a lovely bread sandwich, a can of drink, and a fag delicious. We repeated the process with the ground floor. All was well until we got to the last room. I forced the door and we went in. Bedroom first clear, bathroom clear. Down the hallway, opened the door to the living room, kitchen. Toby was following me too closely and the 2 of us fell into the room. He landed on top of me. "Get off me, you oaf." He got up and I realized the floor was damp. I looked at my hand. Read a lot of it. I scrambled to my feet and saw it. All 3 of us stood there and gaped. The source of the blood was clear, a golf club bent in the middle, the corpse with its head caved in. But the most shocking was the body suspended from the ceiling with rope around the neck, a man dressed in a white shirt, smeared with red, and black trousers, barefoot. The most disturbing was the fact it was still moving, was reaching out as if trying to embrace us, its feet kicking uselessly. What do we do about that?" Toby questioned. It was a good question. Suspended like that, it would be difficult to smash its head without getting grabbed. We could try and cut it down, but then we had the problem of it being mobile. Shooting it was an option, but the damn noise. It started to moan. "Go get your machete and my mop stick," I said. Toby ran off to get it. I looked round the room. It was simply decorated, god-awful green wallpaper, brown leather sofa, and matching chair crammed into the small space, along with a TV that looked older than me and John. Put together a small coffee table with pictures scattered on it, wedding photos clearly showing the man who was now intent on trying to unhook himself from the roof, and a woman that was probably her on the floor. Not that you could tell anymore. It didn't take a genius to work out what happened here. Toby returned. 0. "K, here's the plan. I'm going to distract it from the front with the stick. Toby, you climb on the armchair and well, you know." He nodded grimly. "John would cover us." I moved towards it, just out of its reach. It got more excited, kicking more furiously. I prodded it with the pole in the chest. It grabbed hold, trying to pull me towards it. Toby went round as it was focused on me. The fury in its eyes was like something I had never seen, like an animal. No, you can see emotion, intelligence in an animal's eyes. Here you saw nothing. I was so mesmerized by it that I didn't notice. Toby's swing, it cut deep but didn't remove the head. The thing lost interest in me and tried to twist round to Toby. He took another swing. The body thudded to the floor. The head came loose from the knot and landed on the coffee table. We couldn't believe its head was still moving, chomping at the bit as if daring us to come closer. We watched it. 3 minutes passed, still it was moving. The reason for watching and not throwing it out the window was simple: information. I poked it with the pole. It bit down on it. I pulled back and lifted it up into the air slightly. Decapitation did not work. You had to actually destroy the brain. John finished the head off with a carving knife. We headed over to the hanging thing's body and checked his pockets, a wallet and pocket garbage. Nothing else whilst I went through the wallet. John was looking at the now headless body. He lifted up the shirt. "Gay," I said. "Help me get his trousers off." John said, not smiling. "Dude, necrophilia is not the answer. Shut up and get them off." I complied. We took him down to his skivvies. "What do you see?" "Your ideal boyfriend," I replied. "Seriously, what do you see?" I took a second and answered. "No bites, scratches, nothing." "How did he turn?" "Maybe it's airborne," Toby chimed in. That was a horrifying thought. "Maybe it doesn't kick in till you're dead and bites just accelerate the process," John mused. "Walking Dead style," I muttered. "We're all infected. When you stop breathing you turn." Silence descended on the room. There was not much we could do with our new musings. We couldn't prove or disprove any of it. We rolled the bodies up in the airing cupboard's bedsheets and used the rope to secure them and dragged them through into the main entranceway. "Should we say something?" Toby asked. The man's wallet said his name was Mark. I couldn't find anything for his wife. "I too say something then," I said. "It's been a while since." I said a prayer, but Frank and his wife had been wearing matching silver crucifixes, so they obviously believed it would be right to say something. "Ahem, bow your heads and close your eyes. Dear God, please take your servant Mark and Mark's wife into your loving arms, where there will be no suffering or pain. This, we ask in your name, Amen." The other two murmured Amen. We unceremoniously dropped the two bodies on the doorstep of a church round the corner. Why were there so many churches round here? We would have liked to do a bit more, but the dead prevented this. We re-entered the flats and the next job began. The staircases were quickly demolished with the sledgehammer, and we were soon on the top floor looking down at the mess we created. We were safe for now, maybe. We hoped. But one thing was left. It was now 5 o'clock. I had been putting it off for a while now, but we had to check on Jane handcuffed in the other room. No matter how much I wanted the problem disappear, it wouldn't. Me and John got up. We carefully opened the door and headed towards the living room. I turned the handle. "Don't come in." I jumped back from the door, trading on John's foot. I recovered my composure. Are you okay on there?" I asked. "No, you didn't leave me any fucking toilet paper." "Oh, sorry about that. Can we come in?" "Hold on, okay, I'm decent." We entered the room. Jane was still handcuffed. She had drunk all the water and eaten the food I had left. "You still haven't turned," I said. "Can I see your arm?" She pulled back defensively. I knelt beside her. "Please, Jane." She relaxed and held out her arm. It was unmistakably a bite, a human one too. So why wasn't she turning? "John, I need to speak with her. Do you mind if we do it privately?" He grunted and walked away. He couldn't get out of there quick enough. It was clear he didn't like Jane. Not that I could blame him. Holding kids hostage does not endear yourself to anyone. "Be back in a sec." I left the room, grabbed a couple of things and returned. I emptied her toilet bucket with toilet roll, this time some more water and a couple of pot noodles. I passed her one and started on mine. So, want to tell me what happened? I questioned, slurping a noodle that was bigger than I expected. You know what happened, you know it's a bite and you're gonna kill me for it. She started to eat. I sighed. You're not turning, you were bitten over 24 hours ago, but you are still, you aren't willing to eat my brains, but we don't know why we can't let you just wander around the place. I am sorry. I wish it could be different. I looked down at my noodles, they didn't look so good anymore. There was a pause and suddenly, I forgive you. What? I looked up shocked. I forgive you and I'm sorry for what I did. It wasn't right for me to do that. Nothing excuses it. She looked down at the floor. Look, how about we just eat, I said. We chatted and told each other about ourselves. She used to be a personal trainer at the near the shopping center. Standard backstory: single, lived in a small house near where we found her with a greyhound called Duke. He was still there, apparently without food. God, I like cats, but I also like dogs. The thought of it just slowly starving to death got to me. What's the address? I asked. Why? Do you want your dog back or not? She gave me the address. Before I left the room, I cleaned the bite with antiseptic and put a fresh bandage on. I said we would take a vote at 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Everyone, including her, would get to give their point of view. I would try and get her dog back. I uncuffed her hand that was high up on the radiator and lowered it before snapping it shut again so it would be more comfortable. Good night, she said as I went to step out. Night, I replied without turning round. 10 p.m. I'm sitting here in the dark watching walls of metal fencing, wood as anything that the locals can get their hands on in Hastings to build a wall against the undead. The battle could go either way. I know who I would be betting on. Sky had fallen asleep next to me on the sofa halfway through Finding Nemo. I picked her up and carried her to the bedroom and tucked her in. Night, she muttered, rolled over and fell asleep. I half closed the door behind me. John didn't approve of the idea of going to get a dog, but has decided to come with me. I lied down on the sofa and the darkness enveloped me.